Greetings. Here I am back again. My name's Arasolo. I'm going to try and produce more footage on some of my videos. And I left you, on my previous videos, I left you with the woman and the dragon. I was interpreting the beast. Interpreting that it signifies time, and the woman signifies the earth. So time on the earth, time in this universe. So I am talking a prophetic word like you probably haven't heard it before, me interpreting such thing as the beast with the 7 heads, meaning that it's 7,000 years of time. I don't know that you've heard this from anywhere or anybody else, but that's what I've been talking about. And since I left you last time with the woman and the dragon, saying that the woman represents the earth, and then we mentioned the dragon, and it was red in color, and in another area it was scarlet, which is also red. And I specified that the dragon is part of the beast, but it's using the name dragon because it signifies more 2 heads out of the 7, which is 2 after the 4, because the 7th is kind of like the last one. It's the one that's really unknown. There's no scripture written on the 7th other than it's going to be a new opening. The dragon, I think I will be talking about the first beast and the second beast. Again, I mentioned before that the beast is not what a lot of people think it is. It signifies time, and now we have first beast and the second beast, and we have 4 beasts in other parts of scripture, and too many beasts. So it doesn't really signify what people mostly think of, like it symbolizes like a realistic monster or such thing. It's a monster because it's enormous time, and we're talking an appointed time. And so in the first beast and the second beast, I want to say that there's some key words there. The first beast comes out of the sea. The second beast comes out of the earth. So these are key words, and I will be talking more about that later. What I'm going to talk about right now is that I'm going to try and make sense of how the second beast is part of the first beast. But the reason it's the second beast is because it is part of the dragon, which is 2 heads versus the whole 7 heads. And I will be explaining that a little bit better in a while. Right now, I want to go to the Gospels, and I want to reveal some of these significant numbers to be able to see if I can break down what these numbers signify in time. So let's go to the Gospels. Jesus is proclaiming the good news about this kingdom, and of course the apostles, even at that time, aren't understanding everything that he's saying, and they question him a lot. And he would respond in parables, and parables are a lot easier to understand than revelations, of course. But it's still sometimes they didn't know what he exactly was meaning relating to this new kingdom. So I'm going to go to the feeding of the 5,000 when all the people followed him to a mountain, and in this mountain everybody gathered, and it says that there were 5,000, not including women and children. So there we're bringing up the number 5. And then the question is about feeding them, and the apostles are kind of like, arguing about how we're going to feed these people, blah, blah, blah. Should we go into town and buy food? And Jesus tells them, well, what is it? What do we have? And they say, well, there's somebody has, is it 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish? There again, the 5 and the 2 is 7. And so he says, just bring them to me. And he tells the apostles to get the people sitting in groups of 50 and out there in the tall grass. Another key word, tall grass, meaning lush, meaning nice. It's because he always uses keywords signifying the good times that are supposed to come with this new kingdom, the better times, the new kingdom, and that's kingdom of heaven. When he turns over his testimony to the Father, because the Father is the one who created this plan. The people get fed, and at the end they gather the fragments to fill in 12 baskets. The 12 is another significance that I'll probably talk about a little bit later. But now I want to tell you that the number 5 is the significance of the 5th millennium. That's what it represents. So the 5th millennium is part of these 2 millenniums that we're talking about, that is supposed to be the dragon. The group of 50s, he constantly uses the number 5. And I'm losing my train of thought, bear with me. I mentioned before in my previous videos about when he appeared to the apostles out on the shore. They were fishing early in the morning, and they hadn't caught any fish, and they recognized him, and he finally, when he talks to them, they finally recognize him, because the apostles have seen somebody out there. And what I mentioned is that the scripture mentions that there were 153 fish. It wasn't really necessary for that number to be mentioned, because he had already mentioned that the boat was so overfilled with fish that it almost was tipping over as they were coming to the shore. So it almost doesn't really have to be there. But like I said, all these numbers are like the clues. They're like the secret of the mystery that I hear, because I proclaim that I have this gift to hear. So the 153 fish signify, first of all, the number 1. It is that he is Jesus. He is God, 1 in 3, 3 in 1, the Holy Trinity. This is the true God. The 5 represents again that he came on the 5th millennium, and the 3 signifies that he will be back. His second coming will be on the 3rd millennium. Okay, well, why is the 5 bigger number than the 3, and he already was, and then he will come back again? It's because we are documenting time based on the Julius calendar, where the Romans implemented, and we started at 0 at the time of Jesus. So we're 2021 now, and like I mentioned before, the world doesn't even know what was the documented time before Jesus. We know a lot of events that happened after Jesus, but we don't know, other than the Old Testament, how God would punish people, generations, because of what they would do, and then he would forgive them, and then they would have to punish him again, and blah blah blah, and the fact that he came on the 5th millennium, and we're 2000, we're counting for 2,000 years, and that, like I say, the dragon is 2,000 years. It's part of the whole 7, but he in the scriptures you refer to, when he talks about the dragon, that it's about after Christ. So what happened? Okay, the Romans implemented this Julius calendar, and we've been documenting time with the Julius calendar. It has withstood time. The Bible has withstood time. The Roman Catholic Church has withstood time, even though there's a lot of other denominations that have branched out of the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church was still the first church after Christ, because it was apostolic first, and then it became Catholic Church, and that was, I think, after King Constantine, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He's the one that in history, it's the story of how it happened that he got converted, because he had a vision when he was in a journey, and he came to the apostles, and or not the apostles, but the Christians, and by that time the apostles were dead. But the Christianity had really grown, even though the Romans were still persecuting them and doing terrible things to them and everything. But they would grow in numbers, simply because they had the authority of Jesus to be able to preach the word, the good news, and be able to perform healings and all kinds of things like this. And they were doing kind of what Jesus Christ was using in his ministry, in his time. And anyway, the Catholic Church has withstood time, and it is Catholic because Catholic means universal. And I think this king went and asked the Christians, and after he went and talked to them, they had a talk, and probably conversed about their works, and the Roman king was he had his empire, and he was on a different doctrine and a different authority of kings, like kings have been in the earth. That's why, that's part of the same thing with the 10 horns and 10 kings, because in time there've always been kings, there's always been authority, even up to today. And anyway, going back, the question was, well, what is your purpose? What is your purpose of your teachings? And the response was that to spread peace and love through the whole world. So the king then said, then it it is universal. And I said, yeah, it's universal. It's through the whole world. So I said, well, then we should call it Catholic, because Catholic, it means universal. But he added the word Roman Catholic Church. And he was a smart man. He decided to keep the word Roman in there because he had to go convert all his people now, which was his intentions after he had this vision that he himself got converted. So that's a history of this king and how it became the Roman Catholic Church. And but so much about the church and history.